There is a moment, quiet, almost unnoticeable, when you realize that something about the way we pursue money feels wrong. Maybe it happens while standing in line at the bank, watching someone nervously clutch a paycheck. Maybe it comes late at night, staring at bills piling on a kitchen table, wondering how hard work alone could ever be enough. Or maybe it's just a quiet ache in your chest when you hear yourself say, again, I just have to work harder. What if the problem was never about working harder? What if the entire system, the way we measure success, security, even self-worth, was built on a half-truth? The half-truth is this: money is the reward for effort. But the deeper truth, the one that spiritual traditions like Buddhism, ancient mystics, and even modern physics hint at, is far more radical. Money is energy, not just a symbol, not just an object, not a prize doled out to the most exhausted or the most deserving. Money mirrors the frequency you live from. It flows to you, or it runs from you, based not on how much you grind, but on how much you are aligned. This realization is not just a poetic metaphor. It is the foundation for a completely different relationship with abundance, one rooted not in effort alone, but in energetic alignment. If money is energy, it means that wealth, prosperity, and material well-being are not prizes distributed based on merit or exhaustion, but reflections of our internal frequency. It means that the struggles we face with money are not primarily technical problems to be solved by budgets or spreadsheets, but energetic imprints that have been shaping our external reality since childhood. It means that true financial transformation begins not in the outer hustle, but in the quiet, often overlooked landscape of our inner world. This journey we are about to embark on is not another how-to-get-rich-quick scheme, nor is it a collection of motivational cliches. It is a conscious awakening, a return to the original truth that has been hidden beneath generations of survival programming, cultural conditioning, and spiritual amnesia. It is about remembering that abundance is our natural state, not a prize we must win through suffering. It is about dismantling the invisible walls we built around our own potential. It is about seeing, perhaps for the first time, that the universe is not indifferent to our desires, but responds unerringly to the energetic signature we project. The old reality told us that effort alone determined success. It demanded we grind harder, hustle longer, sacrifice more. But look closely, and you will find countless examples of people who worked tirelessly and remained stuck in cycles of lack, while others, seemingly with less visible effort, magnetized opportunities, wealth, and support effortlessly. Was it luck? Was it privilege? Partly yes, but at the deepest level, it was a matter of energetic alignment. The universe responds not to how much we want something, but to how deeply we believe it is already ours. It mirrors not our outer actions, but our inner certainty, our embodied sense of deserving. In the pages ahead, we will peel back the layers of conditioning that have kept abundance feeling out of reach. We will explore how scarcity is not a fact of life, but a learned vibration. We will uncover how early emotional wounds silently dictate our financial patterns, and how to consciously rewire those scripts at the level where true change happens, the subconscious. We will practice the art of circulating energy, honoring the flow of giving and receiving, and living from a frequency of overflow rather than survival. And most importantly, we will recognize that wealth is not something we chase. It is something we allow, something we align with, something we become. You are not broken. You are not unworthy. You are not sentenced to a life of struggle because of some flaw you cannot see. You are powerful beyond measure, wired by nature to live in the harmony of giving, receiving, and expanding. The truth is not that you have been failing at money. The truth is that you have been taught to forget who you really are. This is your invitation to remember. The illusion of effort. Why money doesn't follow hard work. From an early age, we are taught to believe in a simple equation: effort equals reward. Work hard enough, stay persistent, sacrifice enough, and eventually, success and wealth will find their way to you. This narrative runs deep through every layer of society, from classrooms to family dinners to the cultural heroes we idolize. But as we grow older and move through the complexities of real life, cracks begin to appear in this formula. We see people working backbreaking hours who remain in financial distress. We meet individuals who seem to float effortlessly into opportunities, attracting abundance without grinding themselves into the ground. Quietly, a question stirs. What if effort alone is not the magic key we were promised? The truth, as uncomfortable as it may be, is that hard work does not guarantee wealth. If it did, the hardest workers in the world, laborers, nurses, single parents juggling 3 jobs, would be among the wealthiest. But they are not. Instead, many live paycheck to paycheck, despite Herculean efforts. Meanwhile, some who seem to exert far less visible struggle accumulate vast fortunes. This is not to say effort is meaningless. Dedication, discipline, and persistence have their place. But effort, by itself, operates in a larger system that most of us were never taught to see: the energetic field that underlies everything we create. In Buddhist teachings, there is a profound recognition that the visible world is merely a projection of the invisible mind. Form follows thought. Actions are important, but they are the fruit of intention, belief, and vibration, not the other way around. Without the right inner alignment, effort becomes a form of resistance. Like swimming upstream against the natural flow of a river, we exhaust ourselves trying to force results that our energetic state is actually pushing away. Modern science, too, echoes this ancient wisdom. Quantum physics has shown us that at the most fundamental level, reality is shaped by the observer. What you expect, what you emotionally vibrate, what you assume to be true. These hidden currents organize the particles of your life far more than mechanical actions alone. In psychology, the concept of confirmation bias suggests that we unconsciously filter reality to match our deepest beliefs, creating self-fulfilling prophecies over and over again. Effort without aligned belief often reinforces struggle because it comes from a subconscious expectation of lack. I must work harder because it's hard for me to have enough. Imagine planting seeds in barren soil. No matter how many hours you spend watering and tending, if the soil is poisoned by scarcity, doubt, and fear, the seeds will struggle to grow. Effort amplifies the conditions of the soil. It does not change the soil itself. To truly shift what we harvest, we must first transform the unseen foundation, the beliefs, emotions, and energetic patterns that silently dictate what can take root. Look around, and you will see examples everywhere. The entrepreneur who hustles 18 hours a day, constantly burning out, constantly scrambling for the next lead, but never seems to break through. The artist who toils at their craft, pouring heart and soul into their work, yet remains invisible to the world. Meanwhile, someone else, perhaps with less technical skill or less experience, rises quickly and easily into success. It's tempting to attribute these differences solely to luck or connections, but at the deeper level, it is often a reflection of energetic alignment. The second person may carry an unconscious certainty. My work is valuable. I am worthy of being seen. Prosperity flows to me easily. Without realizing it, their inner world magnetizes the outer support. Hard work is not bad. It is noble to devote oneself to a craft, to labor with integrity. But when hard work is tainted by unhealed scarcity, by hidden fears of unworthiness, by the belief that suffering is required for success, it becomes a self-imposed prison. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor, mistaking burnout for virtue. We believe that if we just sacrifice enough, the universe will eventually pity us and reward our loyalty to struggle. Yet the universe does not respond to how much we suffer. It responds to the frequency we embody. And when that frequency is one of survival, no amount of effort can override it. The shift we are invited into is radical but liberating. Effort is sacred when it flows from aligned energy. Action is powerful when it arises naturally from a state of overflow, not from fear or lack. When your inner frequency vibrates abundance, peace, and deservingness, even small efforts create ripple effects far beyond what grinding alone could accomplish. You move with the river rather than against it. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. Life begins to meet you halfway, and then some. This is not permission to sit back passively and expect miracles without lifting a finger. Action is still vital, but action rooted in misaligned energy creates exhaustion. Action rooted in aligned energy creates miracles. The difference is not what you do, but where you do it from. In the coming steps of our journey, we will explore how to shift from effort-based survival to alignment-based thriving. We will learn how to transform the inner soil so that every action we take carries the full force of natural law behind it. We will remember that money, like all forms of energy, responds most powerfully not to strain, but to coherence, the deep, unwavering inner knowing that abundance is already within reach. You are not here to fight your way into wealth. You are here to become so vibrationally aligned with wealth that it cannot help but find you. This is not fantasy. It is a shift in being, a remembering of what has always been true. When you transform your inner world, you transform the rules of the game. You no longer beg life for scraps. You become life itself, a living invitation for prosperity, peace, and joy to flow effortlessly through you. The invisible chains, how scarcity was programmed into you. Before you even had words to name the world around you, your mind was absorbing. It was taking in sights, sounds, energies, and, most importantly, beliefs. As a child, you lived in a state of openness, a wide-eyed sponge soaking up everything that seemed true simply because the people around you believed it. You didn't question the rules. You didn't doubt the authority of the voices that shaped your early world. And so, without your consent, you inherited an invisible script, a script about money, about survival, about worthiness, that has been running in the background of your life ever since. If you grew up hearing, "We can't afford that," or "money doesn't grow on trees," or "you have to work hard to survive," those phrases weren't just casual remarks. They were emotional downloads. They etched themselves into your nervous system, teaching your body to associate money with stress, scarcity, and fear. Even if your parents meant well, even if they loved you deeply, they often passed down the wounds they carried from their own upbringing, scars inherited through generations like a family heirloom. Scarcity, in this sense, is not just a financial condition. It is a vibration, a lens through which you view yourself and the world. The systems surrounding you reinforced this vibration at every level. Schools taught obedience, conformity, and memorization, not creativity, intuition, or wealth consciousness. You were graded not on your innate genius, but on your ability to fit into a mold. The message was clear: survival depends on pleasing authority, following rules, and not rocking the boat. Religion, too, often added another layer. You may have heard that the love of money is the root of all evil, or that it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. These teachings, though, often rooted in calls for spiritual humility, were frequently misinterpreted or weaponized to deepen the fear around abundance, painting wealth as something morally dangerous or spiritually suspect. Meanwhile, the broader culture bombarded you with conflicting messages. On one hand, you were told to chase the American dream, to aspire, to achieve, to climb. On the other, you were constantly reminded of your limitations, the debt you would need to carry just to be educated, the jobs you must accept just to make it, the endless grind you must endure just to stay afloat. The system was not designed to liberate you. It was designed to keep you striving, busy, uncertain, and obedient. The result of all this conditioning is that, without realizing it, many of us entered adulthood carrying invisible chains. We approach money not as a flow of energy, but as a battlefield, something to fear, something to hoard, something to struggle for. Even when abundance shows up, we feel guilty, unworthy, or anxious about losing it. Our nervous systems, trained in scarcity from the beginning, cannot relax into receiving. We sabotage, delay, or repel the very blessings we seek because, at a subconscious level, we believe that thriving is unsafe, unspiritual, or unattainable. In Buddhist teachings, this phenomenon is known as conditioning, the habits of perception and reaction that bind us to suffering. The Buddha taught that our suffering is not caused by external circumstances alone, but by our attachments, aversions, and ignorance of our true nature. Scarcity, when seen through this lens, is a form of spiritual ignorance, a forgetting of the abundant, interconnected nature of life itself. When we see the world through the distorted lens of lack, we create a reality that matches that lens, perpetuating cycles of fear and grasping. Modern psychology echoes this understanding. Studies in developmental neuroscience show that children's brains are highly plastic, meaning early experiences deeply shape the neural pathways that govern belief, emotion, and behavior. If a child grows up in an environment of financial anxiety, that anxiety becomes wired into their autonomic nervous system, influencing their adult choices and reactions, often without conscious awareness. Healing this programming is not simply a matter of thinking new thoughts. It requires a deep unwinding of the body's learned patterns of fear and contraction around money. This is why affirmations and surface-level mindset tricks often fail. They address the conscious mind, but leave the subconscious, and more importantly, the body, untouched. To truly dissolve the chains of scarcity, we must work at the level where they were first forged: the emotional body, the energetic field, the subconscious mind. We must become aware of the inherited scripts we are still living out and, with compassion and persistence, choose to write new ones. This is not about blaming our parents, our teachers, or our society. They too were trapped in the same invisible prison. They too were doing the best they could with the beliefs they inherited. Awakening is not about condemnation. It is about recognition, seeing the patterns clearly, without judgment, and realizing that we are no longer bound by them unless we choose to be. The truth is, you were born into abundance. You are an expression of the infinite, not a mistake fighting for scraps. Scarcity is not your nature. It is a learned vibration. And anything that has been learned can be unlearned. Every moment offers the chance to step out of the old story, to breathe new life into your relationship with money, and to reclaim your birthright, to live from a place of trust, flow, and sufficiency. The chains that bind you are real in their effects, but not in their essence. They exist only as long as you believe in them. The moment you awaken to their presence, the moment you begin to question the scripts you inherited, you weaken their hold. Awareness is the solvent. Compassion is the key. Persistence is the path. You are not broken. You are simply remembering. You are returning to the truth that was always waiting within you. That you are enough, you have enough, and life itself longs to support your thriving, not your suffering. This journey of remembrance begins now. Money as a mirror, the hidden blueprint of your subconscious. If you could look at your financial reality as if it were a mirror, what would it show you? Not just the numbers in your bank account or the bills on your kitchen counter, but something deeper, a reflection of the hidden beliefs you carry about yourself, your worth, and the nature of abundance itself. Money, like all manifestations in the physical world, is not an isolated phenomenon. It does not arrive by accident. It does not behave randomly. It mirrors, sometimes with brutal honesty, the dominant frequencies held within your subconscious mind. We often think of money as something separate from us, something out there that we must chase, earn, or control. But in truth, it behaves much more like an echo. Whatever signals you send out into the energetic field, through your expectations, your emotions, your assumptions, those signals reverberate and eventually materialize into form. If deep within you there is a belief that says, "I am not safe to have wealth," or "I must struggle to survive," that belief will quietly sculpt your external reality, no matter how much you consciously affirm the opposite. You can read every money book, take every financial course, chant every affirmation known to man. But if your subconscious blueprint is coated with scarcity, chaos, or unworthiness, your results will eventually snap back to that hidden setting. This is why money feels so slippery to so many people. It's not because they lack intelligence, talent, or ambition. It's because they are playing against an invisible script they didn't even know they agreed to. They may work hard, dream big, and even make temporary gains, but if their inner blueprint says, "I don't deserve this," or "success will make me unsafe," they will find ways, often unconsciously, to push the wealth away. They will overspend, sabotage opportunities, ignore intuitive nudges, or find themselves caught in patterns of feast and famine without fully understanding why. The Buddha taught that all phenomena arise from the mind. Our reality is not shaped by random external forces, but by the internal habits of thought and perception we cultivate. In this sense, money is not just a neutral tool, it is a revealing teacher. It shows us where we are free and where we are bound. It shows us where we trust life and where we still grasp in fear. It shows us whether we believe, deep down, that life is abundant and supportive, or harsh and withholding. It is not here to punish or reward. It is here to illuminate. Modern psychology supports this view. Studies on the subconscious mind reveal that up to 95% of our behaviors, choices, and emotional reactions are governed by unconscious patterns formed primarily in early childhood. If a child witnesses constant anxiety around money, internalizes shame around desire, or absorbs messages equating self-worth with productivity, these beliefs become embedded not just mentally but somatically in the body itself. As adults, these imprints continue to dictate the energetic set points from which we operate, often without a trace of conscious awareness. Understanding this is not meant to inspire guilt or self-blame. You are not responsible for the wounds you inherited, but you are invited to take responsibility for healing them. Seeing money as a mirror grants you the power to step out of victimhood and into conscious creation. It shifts the question from "why is life doing this to me?" to "what within me is asking to be healed, integrated, and reimagined." If your financial life currently feels chaotic, strained, or stagnant, it is not a moral failure. It is a message. It is a loving reflection asking you to look deeper, to ask, what stories about money have I unconsciously agreed to? What emotions rise in me when I think about wealth? What assumptions do I carry about what is possible for me? These are not questions of strategy or tactics. They are questions of being. Healing your relationship with money is less about external action and more about internal reconciliation. It is about befriending the parts of you that learn to associate abundance with danger, shame, or betrayal. It is about offering compassion to the younger versions of yourself that thought scarcity was the only option. It is about reprogramming not by force, but by gentle, consistent invitation, by saturating your inner world with new images, new feelings, and new assumptions of safety, sufficiency, and flow. You do not need to be perfect to allow abundance. You do not need to eradicate every shadow of fear or doubt. What you need is willingness, a willingness to see, to feel, and to choose again. A willingness to build a new, energetic blueprint. 1. Belief, one feeling, one courageous step at a time. As your inner world shifts, so too will the mirror. It must. It has no choice. Life can only reflect back to you the frequency you live from. Change the frequency, and the reflection changes naturally. Without forcing, without chasing, without endless striving. Money is not your enemy. It is not your master. It is not your judge. It is a mirror, one of many, offering you a portal back to your true self. And the deeper you go into the work of remembering, the more effortlessly wealth, in all its forms, will flow to meet you. You are not here to fight against lack. You are here to become a living embodiment of abundance itself. Let money show you where you still doubt. Let it show you where you can love yourself more fully. Let it guide you, not by fear, but by wisdom, back into the river of life that has always been flowing, waiting for you to step in. The mirror is not cruel. It is simply honest. And honesty, when embraced with compassion, is always the beginning of freedom. Breaking free, healing the wounds, and reclaiming flow. Freedom doesn't begin when you finally have enough money. It begins when you realize that money never had the power to define your worth in the first place. It begins the moment you turn inward, beyond the inherited scripts, beyond the anxious striving, and begin the quiet, courageous work of healing the places within you that once believed survival depended on struggle. Breaking free is not a single act of rebellion against the outside world. It is an inward revolution, a tender, patient unwinding of all the stories, fears, and wounds that have quietly dictated your financial reality from behind the scenes. For many, scarcity is not just a thought, it is a somatic memory. It lives in the tightness of the chest when bills arrive, in the stomach that knots when discussing money, in the throat that tightens when asking to be paid fairly. These reactions are not signs of weakness. They are signs of old wounds, moments when you were taught, either directly or by implication, that having enough, being supported, or asking for more was dangerous, selfish, or shameful. The body remembers what the mind forgets, and it continues to act out the old story until a new experience of safety is deeply felt and integrated. Healing these wounds is not about waging war against them. It is not about fixing yourself as if you were broken. It is about meeting these wounded places with a level of compassion they have never known before. When a child falls and skins their knee, the most healing thing you can do is not to criticize them for falling, but to sit with them, to hold them gently, and to let them know they are still loved. The same is true for the wounded parts of you that learn scarcity. They do not need to be judged or silenced. They need to be witnessed, embraced, and offered a new narrative, one rooted in trust, sufficiency, and belonging. The practice of healing in this context is deeply aligned with Buddhist wisdom. The Buddha did not teach that suffering should be conquered by force. He taught that suffering should be understood. When we understand the origin of our suffering, the conditioned reactions, the attachments, the unconscious clinging, we create space for liberation. Scarcity is no different. To heal it, we must first see it clearly, without judgment. We must recognize the ways it manifests in our daily lives, not as personal failures, but as echoes of old teachings that no longer serve us. In the modern language of psychology, this healing process is known as integration. When we integrate, we bring the rejected, exiled parts of ourselves back into the circle of compassion. We stop fighting against our own pain and begin to listen to it. We allow the body to unwind its contracted states, to soften into trust. We create new neural pathways, new energetic signatures that support abundance not as a distant goal, but as a natural state of being. This work is not always dramatic. It is often subtle, slow, and deeply internal. It looks like noticing the tightening in your chest when you think about paying bills and choosing, gently, to breathe into it, to bless the flow of money out as much as you bless its return. It looks like hearing the old voice that says, "You can't charge that much," and instead of obeying it, blindly, pausing to ask, "Is that really true? Or is that just a ghost from someone else's fear?" It looks like celebrating small moments of abundance, a free coffee, a kind gift, a bill unexpectedly paid, as tangible evidence that the universe is not withholding, but offering. Breaking free is not about pretending scarcity doesn't exist. It is about refusing to make it your home. It is about recognizing when you have been hypnotized by fear and gently waking yourself up again and again until the waking becomes your new normal. It is about building trust with yourself, with life, and with the unseen currents of energy that are always responding to the frequencies you emit. And as you do this work, something miraculous happens. Flow returns, not because you forced it, but because you removed the blockages that prevented it. Flow is the natural state of life. Rivers flow, seasons flow, breath flows. Scarcity is a contraction against life's natural rhythm. Healing your wounds is simply allowing yourself to rejoin the river, to stop clinging to the rocks of fear and let yourself be carried by the deeper current of abundance that was always there, waiting for your surrender. This is not about becoming perfect. You will still have moments of fear. You will still have days when old stories whisper in your ear, but you will no longer believe them as easily. You will recognize them for what they are. Relics of an old reality you are no longer obligated to inhabit. You will choose, again and again, to trust, to open, to flow. Freedom was never about having enough to stop worrying. Freedom was about realizing you were never meant to live and worry at all. Your inheritance is not struggle. Your inheritance is the effortless, generous flow of life itself. And healing your wounds is the sacred act of reclaiming it. The power of ritual, how small acts shift your financial reality. Change does not happen in grand, sweeping gestures. It happens in the small moments, the unnoticed choices, the quiet shifts, the rituals we repeat until they become the new foundation of our lives. When it comes to transforming your relationship with money, it is not the massive, once-in-a-lifetime breakthroughs that create lasting change. It is the consistent, intentional acts that gradually retrain your subconscious, soothe your nervous system, and anchor a new frequency into your body and your life. Rituals are sacred, not because they impress the universe, but because they impress upon us a new identity. They bypass the intellectual mind, which often wavers and doubts, and speak directly to the deeper parts of us that crave consistency, safety, and symbolic meaning. Every time you engage in a ritual of abundance, you are sending a clear signal. This is who I am now. This is what I allow. This is what I believe to be true about life. You don't need elaborate ceremonies. You don't need hours of chanting or complex practices. Small, sincere acts are powerful enough. Lighting a candle with the intention of welcoming financial flow. Blessing the money as you spend it, no matter how small the amount. Taking a moment of gratitude every time you receive, whether it's a paycheck, a gift, a compliment, or an unexpected blessing. These seemingly insignificant moments, repeated with presence and feeling, begin to rewire the pathways that once held fear, doubt, and scarcity. In the wisdom of Zen Buddhism, we are taught that enlightenment is found not in dramatic events, but in the smallest gestures, sweeping the floor, washing the bowl, tending the garden. When performed with mindfulness, these acts become portals to awakening. In the same way, simple financial rituals performed with mindfulness are not about manipulating the universe. They are about aligning yourself with the deeper truth that abundance is already here, already flowing, already your birthright. Psychology confirms this, too. Neuroplasticity, The brain's ability to rewire itself depends not on intense effort, but on repeated experience. Small, consistent actions create new neural pathways. Over time, these pathways become the new normal, the new default. When you consistently treat money with reverence, gratitude, and openness, you train your subconscious to expect flow, to feel safe with abundance, to welcome prosperity as natural rather than foreign or threatening. One of the most transformative rituals you can practice is circulation, consciously allowing money to move through you rather than clinging to it in fear. Giving, even small amounts, from a place of trust rather than obligation, tells your subconscious, there is always more where that came from. It rewrites the old script of hoarding and survival into a new story of flow and sufficiency. Another powerful ritual is blessing every outgoing transaction. Instead of feeling anxious when you pay a bill or make a purchase, you can offer a silent blessing. May this payment bless me and everyone it touches. May it return to me multiplied. This small act shifts the energy of spending from contraction to expansion, from fear to trust. You can also create an overflow envelope, a physical reminder that you are living from abundance, not from survival. Every time you receive money, you set aside a small portion, not for emergencies or bills, but simply as a symbol of overflow. Even if it's just a few dollars at first, the act itself sends a powerful signal to your subconscious. I have more than enough. I live in overflow. The power of these rituals is not in their logic. It is in their energy. They speak to the parts of you that learned long ago that money was dangerous, scarce, or complicated. They gently, persistently offer a new possibility. That money is safe, that flow is natural, that abundance is your homecoming. In the beginning, these rituals may feel awkward or even pointless. That is normal. You are not just changing habits, you are changing identity. Be patient. Stay consistent. Trust that every small act is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious. In time, you will look back and realize that these simple, tender gestures built a new reality, not through force, but through love, faith, and the quiet power of intention. Money is energy, and every small ritual you perform is a way of tuning your frequency, of aligning your field with the truth that life is abundant, that you are worthy, and that prosperity flows naturally to those who dare to embody it, even in the smallest of ways. Living abundance now, becoming the version that already has it. There is a subtle but profound shift that changes everything. A shift from chasing abundance to living it now. Most people unconsciously postpone their abundance, placing it in some distant future. When I get that job, then I'll feel secure. When I make that amount of money, then I'll finally relax. When I have more clients, more sales, more recognition, then I'll allow myself to feel successful. But this way of living, of waiting for outer circumstances to grant inner permission, keeps the energy of abundance always just out of reach. It creates a perpetual state of lack, because the frequency you are living from now is what the universe continues to mirror back to you. Living abundance now is not about pretending. It's not about faking feelings you don't truly have. It's about consciously stepping into the identity, the energy, the posture of the version of you who already knows abundance, who already trusts life, who already feels at home in prosperity. It's about realizing that becoming wealthy in spirit precedes becoming wealthy in form, and that the internal shift is not a small accessory to success, but the true foundation of it. This truth is echoed across spiritual traditions and modern psychology alike. In Buddhist thought, the state of inner sufficiency, of knowing you are already complete, already supported, is essential to liberation. In neuroscience, it's understood that the brain cannot easily distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. The emotional signature you hold now imprints your subconscious and guides your behavior and perception at every level. When you consistently live from a state of abundance, even before the outer proof appears, you train your entire being to expect, allow, and receive more of the same. But how do you live as if abundance is already yours when you're current? Reality seems to scream otherwise. How do you embody sufficiency when your bank account feels empty or your opportunities seem scarce? The answer is not force. It is subtle, gentle, but powerful work. It begins with small internal choices. Choosing gratitude even when fear whispers otherwise. Choosing trust even when doubt feels louder. Choosing to honor what you have, the roof over your head, the breath in your lungs, the relationships that nourish you, as evidence that life already supports you. It's about micro adjustments in your daily experience. Walking into a store and feeling that you belong there, even if you are not buying anything today. Paying bills not with resentment, but with gratitude for the services you received. Receiving a compliment or a gesture of kindness without deflecting or diminishing it. Treating your current financial life, no matter how modest, with the same respect and appreciation you would offer if you were managing millions. In doing so, you close the gap between who you are now and who you are becoming, until the distinction dissolves completely. Living abundance now also means practicing emotional sovereignty. It means refusing to let temporary outer conditions dictate your inner state. It is the art of feeling abundant even when circumstances challenge you, not out of denial, but out of a deep, mature trust that appearances are temporary, but energy is eternal. It means cultivating an inner steadiness that says, I know who I am. I know the frequency I belong to, and I choose to remain there, regardless of outer fluctuations. This practice is not about arrogance. It's not about pretending you are superior or immune to life's challenges. It's about humility. The humility to recognize that you are not separate from life's abundance, that you are already woven into the fabric of a universe that is naturally generous. It's about surrendering the old, fearful identity that believed you had to earn your right to exist, and stepping into the knowing that your beingness itself is enough. As you live from this place more consistently, the outer world begins to shift. New opportunities, relationships, and resources appear, not because you forced them into existence, but because you finally became a vibrational match for them. Your life begins to mirror the new inner posture you have chosen, not sporadically, but reliably. And when challenges arise, because they still will, you will meet them from a different frequency, one that knows how to navigate them with grace rather than collapse into fear. Living abundance now is not about waiting for proof. It is about becoming the proof. It is about carrying the internal evidence of sufficiency so clearly, so unapologetically, that the external evidence must eventually catch up. It is about realizing that the greatest investment you can make is in your own state of being, nurturing it, honoring it, protecting it from the pull of old scarcity narratives. You are not chasing abundance. You are not begging for it. You are embodying it. You are becoming the version of yourself that life has been waiting to meet. The version that no longer asks, when will it happen? But simply lives as if it already has, trusting that the seen will follow the unseen, just as surely as the dawn follows the deepest night. This is the quiet revolution. This is the true power. This is living abundance now. Conclusion: you are the source of your wealth. At the end of this journey, the realization is simple, yet life-changing. You are the source of your wealth, not the job, not the economy, not the circumstances swirling around you. You, your consciousness, your frequency, your willingness to remember who you truly are beneath the layers of fear, scarcity, and forgetting. For so long, you were taught to seek wealth as something external, something to be earned, won, or deserved after enough sacrifice. But life, in its quiet wisdom, has always whispered a different truth, that everything you seek already lives within you. That abundance is not a reward for hard work, but a reflection of your state of being. That the river of prosperity flows not because you force it, but because you remove the dams of doubt, fear, and unworthiness that once blocked it. You are not a powerless victim of circumstance. You are a living field of energy, capable of transmitting and receiving frequencies that shape reality itself. Every belief you choose, every emotion you nurture, every small act of trust you practice, these are the brushstrokes painting the canvas of your life. When you vibrate in alignment with abundance, peace, and sufficiency, life has no choice but to mirror that back to you in countless, often unexpected ways. This is not about bypassing real-world challenges. It is about meeting them from a different frequency, one that knows challenges are temporary, but your inner state is sovereign. It is about remembering that no external event can define you unless you allow it. It is about reclaiming your power, not by domination, but by gentle, persistent alignment with the truth that life is fundamentally abundant and that you are inseparable from that abundance. In Buddhist teachings, liberation is not found by rearranging external conditions, but by transforming perception itself. When you shift your relationship to life, when you no longer chase, fear, or resist, but instead align, allow, and trust, you step into a different reality without moving an inch. Wealth flows not because the universe suddenly decides you are worthy, but because you remember you always were. This is the heart of true manifestation, not forcing reality to obey your demands, but allowing reality to unfold naturally from the frequency you consistently embody. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. When you become a living, breathing vibration of sufficiency, gratitude, and trust, the world around you reorganizes itself to reflect that vibration. Opportunities appear, support arrives, money flows, peace deepens, not because you begged, but because you became congruent with your true nature. And yet, even now, it's not about perfection. There will still be days when old patterns whisper, when fear visits, when doubt lingers at the edges of your mind. That is not failure. That is part of the human experience. The work is not to eradicate fear completely, but to refuse to build your home there anymore. To recognize fear when it comes, to greet it, thank it for its outdated service, and then return, gently but firmly, to the frequency you have chosen to live from. Every moment offers a choice, to align with your old story or to embody your new truth. And as you choose again and again, the momentum builds. The gaps between the old self and the new self shrink. The once distant dream of abundance becomes the lived reality of your everyday existence. You are the source. You are the wellspring. You are the infinite abundance you once sought outside yourself. And now, as you live from this knowing, not as an idea, but as a felt, embodied truth, life cannot help but meet you there, blessing you, overflowing through you, touching others in ways you cannot. Yet imagine, you were never meant to struggle your way into abundance. You were meant to awaken into it. You were never meant to earn your worth. You were meant to remember it. You were never meant to chase wealth. You were meant to embody it. The journey is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully yourself, the self that was never separate from the river of life, the self that has always been whole, sufficient, and free. As you move forward, know this. Every step you take in the direction of inner alignment plants seeds that will bloom in ways seen and unseen. Every moment you choose trust over fear, gratitude over scarcity, peace over striving, you are shifting the entire field of your reality. And it doesn't end here. This is the beginning of a life lived from the inside out, a life where abundance is not a goal, but a natural, inevitable expression of who you are. And if this journey has touched something true within you, if it has awakened even a small remembering of the wealth already alive inside your being. You are invited to continue walking this path with us. There are more journeys ahead, deeper explorations, gentler healings, greater unfoldings. If you feel called, you can subscribe to stay connected, to be part of a growing circle of hearts awakening to the truth of their own abundance. You can like this video if it resonated with you, and share it with someone who may be ready to remember too. Each act of sharing is not just an algorithm. It is a ripple of energy, a blessing sent forward into the vast river of life. Thank you for being here, for remembering who you are, and for carrying this light into the world.